Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beaverton Traffic Commission. Today is January 6, 2022. It is 7:03 and we're starting our meeting. First thing to do will be call to order. We have one vacancy, so there are 6 council commissioner members. And you do need, just for record, we do need to have a verbal yay or nay on motions and roll calls. So Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Excellent. Commissioner Urbanski.
Present.
Commissioner Miranda.
Present.
Chair Conway is present. Commissioner Bobadilla is absent and excused. Vice Chair McLean is absent and excused. And again, we have one vacancy we have not filled yet. So that is our 6 members. So we do have a quorum. That in mind, will we begin next process? Are there any visitors in the area that would like to speak?
We do have 13 current attendees.
Okay, a couple of notes before we begin, everyone. Every public hearing meeting, not public hearing, but every meeting has a portion for visitor comments. These are for things that are discussed that are not on the agenda. So if you have a traffic concern that you would like to raise that is not related to either TC 828, the pedestrian path, and 829, the crosswalk and pedestrian beacon at Davis, then we would please raise your hand, let Ms. Werner know, and we'll have us speak. One other comment that we do have, the chat room is available, but it is not count for any of the public records. So when you do speak, you will need to state your name and address for the record, whether you are for or against a motion, and if you represent you or someone else. If you have a question, the commission may take a look at it, but anything again in the comment section is not part of the public record. And any comments or follow-up are just kind of quiet commentary, which in the in-person meetings would not be actually allowed most of the time. So with that in mind, is there anyone who had a comment on something not on the agenda?
Oh, someone does have their hand up.
Okay, excellent.
This is Aaron.
Hello, Aaron.
Hi. I saw that there's the proposal for a light on Davis. I live on, sorry, my name is Aaron Lopez Husky. I live on 16115 Southwest Davis Road. So a few houses away from the park.
Okay, so I'm sorry, sir, before you get going too far, is this in regards to TC 829?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to know how to also request a light that would be on the actual intersection between Davis and 160th, because that's where most of my concern is.
I'll let Mr. Khasho.
Yeah, that intersection is under Washington County jurisdiction.
Okay.
So you may be able to contact the county, or I will also bring it up to the county that you are interested in having a signal at that location.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And again, as a matter of, thank you, Aaron, for bringing that up. Again, for anyone interested, if you do have questions or concerns, you can certainly bring them up during the public comment portion, but you can also send something to the city traffic engineer at any time and do a request, or if you have any questions and general comments as well. So always keep that in mind. Appreciate everyone coming this evening and taking part in our process. So thank you very much. Next up then would be staff comments. Mr. Khasho, do you have anything?
Just for the record, I did email you 2 emails that contained additional written testimony for both issues we have tonight.
Okay, thank you. I did see those, and I think I took a look at those as well. Next up would be the consent items. Mr. Khasho, one question on that. We have 3 people who did attend, but do we need a quorum of the, we would have a quorum of those present. I think we went through this before. We don't have a quorum of commissioners, but we do have a majority of attendees. So does the consent agenda need to wait until?
No, we have a quorum. You could vote on for the minutes, but the people who were not at that meeting, they have to abstain.
Correct. Okay, very good then. With that in mind, then next is the consent agenda items. The last time this commission met was December 2nd, 2021. I had sent in a couple of updates, and Ms. Werner happily updated those and made some clarifications for us. So I am total agreement on that. So I'd make a motion to pass the consent agenda from the meeting minutes December 2nd, 2021.
Second.
There's a second. Second by Commissioner Moore. Thank you. Then a roll call will determine that. Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Miranda.
Abstain.
Thank you. And Chair Conway, aye. So motion passes 3-0 with 1 abstain. Thank you, everyone, on that. Next up, we'll begin the public hearing portion. I have one chair comment that we need to read to get this going. Moments here. Need to bring up the other form. All right, in the interest of productivity here, this statement will apply to both of our public hearings tonight. The Traffic Commission will now hold hearings on 2 traffic agenda items. The hearing will begin with a report from the city traffic engineer, followed by testimony from the person who submitted the proposal. City traffic engineer's report will list the applicable substantive criteria and the reasons behind the recommendation. We will then hear testimony from other interested parties. If you wish to testify, please clearly state your name and address when given permission to speak. In this case, please raise your hand and we'll pick you up and have you speak in the order that you were chosen or that you were acknowledged. Your evidence and testimony must be directed to the criteria in section 6.02.060 determined to be applicable by the city traffic engineer or other criteria, current city, metro, tri-met, state, or federal laws or policies which you believe apply to the decision. After the hearing is closed, the commission will deliberate on the evidence received and make an oral decision to approve with conditions, or deny the proposal. The decision will not be final until a written order is signed by the chairperson. All persons who testify will receive a written notice of the final decision of this commission. Decisions of the commission are typically recommendations to the city council and become effective upon approval by council. Typically, traffic commission recommendations appear on the consent agenda of the council and are approved by the council without discussion. The city council ordinarily does not conduct a public hearing on such recommendations. Any decision of the commission may be appealed, though, to city council. When an appeal is properly filed, a separate hearing will be scheduled before the commission or before the council. Any appeal must be filed with the city recorder within 10 days of the date of the traffic commissioner's final written order. Procedures related to written appeals are available from the office of the city traffic engineer and the city recorder. So thank you for that. With that, then we will begin public hearing for TC 828 pedestrian path on Southwest Village Lane Bridge. And we begin with a staff report. Mr. Khasho.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna share my screen as it's easier to explain.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. TC 828, the pedestrian path on Southwest Village Lane Bridge is requested by staff. Village Lane, west of 150th Avenue, has 2 bridges that spans over the Johnson Creek. The Village Lane main bridge, which is right here. This bridge is owned and maintained by the city, and it provides a creek crossing for vehicles, pedestrians, and bicycles. It only has sidewalks on the south side. The sidewalk on the north side between this point here and all the way to here, there aren't any on that north side of the bridge. The second bridge is to the north, which is this one here. And this bridge is owned and maintained by the Four Seasons Homeowners Association. This bridge only provides crossing for pedestrians. So basically, and it connects to both ends of the sidewalk on the north side of Village Lane. So basically, pedestrians who are walking on the north side of the street, they have to take off, get down the slope, cross the pedestrian bridge, then climb up and continue west on Village Lane. The Four Seasons Homeowner Association has worked with city planning on option to reroute pedestrians to the main bridge, as the pedestrian bridge is decaying due to it being in the floodplain and being underwater during the winter time. One of the options that was explored is to remove the pedestrian bridge and construct a sidewalk on the main bridge of Village Lane. Basically, they were saying, okay, we could add a sidewalk on this side and everything will connect both ends of the sidewalk to it. So they'll have a continuous path. And by doing this and removing the pedestrian bridge, it will improve the creek flow actually, and it will reduce flooding too. In January of last year, an inspection of the Village Lane main bridge showed significant structural deficiency that required restricting the weight limit of vehicles using the bridge to 20 tons until several critical structural elements of the bridge are replaced as a temporary fix, or the bridge will be replaced with a new one. In May of last year, under TC 823, the Traffic Commission approved the weight limit restrictions, and signs have been posted on Village Lane to that effect. The construction of the new sidewalk on the north side of the bridge became infeasible due to the weight restrictions. So basically that plan that the HOA had, yeah, they can't do it anymore. The pavement width of Village Southwest Village Lane is 34 feet. It has a posted speed limit of 25 miles per hour. A traffic count that was taken in 2019 shows that Village Lane carries approximately 900 vehicles per day. So it has a really low traffic volume in that area. The measured 85th percentile, it means 85% of the drivers drive at or below this speed, was measured at 26 miles per hour. So also the operating speed on Village Lane is very low. Currently, there are painted median islands. As you see in the image, there is one east of 150th and one to the west. And these islands, painted islands, were put in to keep traffic on its, basically to keep each traffic in its lane. And it will also act as a traffic calming device, although it's painted, but it helps by keeping the speeds low. Considering the low traffic volume and the measured 85th percentile speed, to improve pedestrian safety, staff is proposing to utilize the existing pavement and delineate an on-street pedestrian path on Southwest Village Lane from 155th Avenue. Basically, it will be from here and 250 feet to the west to this point. The street width allow to have 2 travel lanes. So there is 24 feet, and that will allow 2 full 12-foot lanes, which is a full width, and a 10-foot pedestrian path. We will be using this type of delineators that basically will be installed along this black line here. This will provide separation between the pedestrians and the vehicles going on Village Lane. Currently, there is one ADA ramp right here, but because of the trees, you cannot see it in the image. So the sidewalk actually continues to this ADA ramp so people can cross to this side. And there will be an ADA ramp installed on here. So if you get off, you continue on and then you go back on to this side of the bridge, to this side of the sidewalk. So staff is asking the Traffic Commission to approve this request to improve pedestrian safety on Village Lane. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khasho. Are there any questions? Commissioner Urbanski?
I can see how pedestrian safety would be tremendously increased. What about cyclists though? Because the road is now only going to be 24 feet wide. So there'll be less space for cyclists. So are they supposed to stay on the road, or are they supposed to go on the path, the 10-foot wide path that's dedicated for the pedestrians? I just wondered where they fit in. Will they be penalized here?
Oh, you're on mute, Jabra.
Sorry about that. They could use both. We will provide a gap where a cyclist can go in. But due to the low traffic volume, even if they stay using the 24 feet, you know, the low traffic volume and the speed, they can do it safely without any problem.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Miranda.
Yeah, what will happen with the old bridge? Is that still in the plan to dismantle that bridge?
The pedestrian bridge, if tonight the Traffic Commission approves this request and City Council do the final approval on it, the Homeowners Association will be taking that bridge out basically and barricade both ends, so people will not, you know, basically end up in the creek. Yeah, and the city currently in the capital improvement plan, we have money to do. Basically, we need to go back and study the Village Lane to know what options we have. I don't believe fixing the bridge is an option because it's going to be continuous. And by doing this, it's probably will cost more to keep that old bridge up than replacing it. So we're going to look at options, what we can do with it, and then we'll decide, you know, where we're going to get the funding to replace that bridge too.
You mean the replacing the
main bridge,
the lane bridge, right? The
main
bridge.
Yeah.
And that was my other question. What will happen when that bridge will be replaced? Is there already a plan for the sidewalk then on that side?
Yeah, if we decide to replace the bridge, there will be sidewalks on both sides.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then would that include sidewalks and bike lane, or would they basically have the same scenario they do now?
On neighborhood routes, we do not mark bike lanes. So basically it will be the same pavement width, yeah.
Okay, and then one thing that I didn't see in any of the comments there was that the HOA was responsible for the pedestrian bridge, but they didn't, there was no upkeep apparently, so they approached the city, or I'm not sure, it's not clear who's paying for all of the changes here.
The pedestrian bridge, it's the HOA responsibility. They'll do all the work because we don't own it or maintain it.
Correct.
And we also looked at the old records, why did this happen? Was it a condition of approval to keep this bridge? And the record shows that it wasn't a condition of approval either. So they can do whatever they want to do with it.
Oh, okay. So is the city's responsibility then to fix the road now that their bridge is going to be removed? So it's their purview to remove the bridge. Say it was in good shape anyway, they just decide to remove it. The city would then be under the requirement to fix that?
To fix which bridge?
The main bridge, I guess it's not a matter of doing this. I'm wondering who's paying for all the changes.
The changes, all the work on this village lane itself, on what we're doing, is the city's responsibility. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right.
And we've been working with the HOA, and from discussions with them, they may be providing that one ADA ramp. They'll do the work on that ADA ramp, and we'll do the rest of the striping and the signing and whatever it takes to get this plan we have in place.
Okay. And do they have an approximate cost on that?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more.
All right. Commissioner Miranda.
So it says in your thing also that the removal of the pedestrian bridge would also enhance the flow of the creek and reduce flooding in the area. But it enhances the flow of the creek. Will that do anything to the bridge? I mean, to the main bridge, if the creek and no, okay, good.
No, the main bridge is higher than this pedestrian bridge, so it will not have an effect on it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Other questions? All right. With that in mind, then we would open the public testimony portion. And if there are hands that are raised in the waiting area, then we'll begin those. And Ms. Werner will call them in the order that they were acknowledged.
First person is Steve Bingham.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Steve Bigham here. I just wanted to let Jabra and everyone know that I'm available for those questions about the cost on the HOA side and the bridge repair. For the HOA side, I'm representing the Four Seasons HOA, and I've been working with Jabra to work through this bridge repair on our end.
Excellent. So, sir, did you, I guess then did the HOA make a suggestion or a partial offer, I guess, to help?
Yeah, we're going to cover the cost of the ADA ramp and the bridge, the pedestrian bridge removal, as well as termination, the sidewalk termination at the river or the creek. Yeah, and the street related items was something Jabra was taking on their side.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions? Perfect. We'll keep that in mind, Mr. Bingham. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, we have Nicole Winters.
Hi, I'm Nicole Winters. I am the president of the Four Seasons HOA and a homeowner who lives in the area at 15785 Southwest Autumn Lane in Beaverton. And I obviously support this proposal. And also just to give, a little bit of history, I think Jabra gave some history, and thank you very much for that comprehensive background, Jabra. But, the HOA replaced the pedestrian bridge. I think it was I have to pull up the record and see, but it was like in 2008. It's a fairly new bridge, but with the changing creek conditions, the bridge failed much sooner than obviously one would expect a bridge that's supposed to have like a 30-year life. And as recently as August, we met with representatives of Clean Water Services in Tualatin Soil and Water Conservation District, met with us down there and told us that it would improve the creek if that bridge can be removed entirely. So replacing the bridge, about a year, a little over a year ago, when the previous board was looking at, can the bridge be replaced versus that was the decision then to put a sidewalk. It was in large part because of the changing creek conditions and to improve the creek conditions and the flooding and just making the bridge higher. And I'm not a technical person, and Steve might even be a better person than me to understand why it can't be higher, because then for ADA compliance, you have to have the certain grade, and it would end up being so wide, and where the sidewalk has to meet and everything, it ends up not being possible to make it high enough and also make it compliant for pedestrians and everything, given the slope, the steep slopes there are, and all this sort of technical stuff that I don't really understand. But that's why the previous board said, all right, let's switch it to a sidewalk, because we can't raise the bridge up high enough with the changing creek conditions. And then with the main bridge failing, the sidewalk became not an option. So the HOA's hands are a little bit tied here in terms of, we can't really replace the bridge and we can't put a sidewalk in on the main bridge that has now also failed. I think both the city and the HOA are facing the same circumstances where these bridges are failing because of changing conditions with the creek.
Perfect.
And so we definitely would support this change until, that main bridge can be done.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the background on that too. It makes a little more sense. We on the commission only get what we're done, or unless what we during our visits, our site visits, usually we don't run into anyone. When I was there, it was just kind of looking around. So that explains quite a bit. Thank you. Are there other questions?
I'm also happy to answer any questions. Steve has a lot of information. I might have some other information. I'm happy to answer anything that you guys need.
Excellent. I appreciate the help with the ADA ramp as well. So thank you for that. Any other questions? All right, perfect. Ms. Werner, next.
There is nobody else with their hand raised, but there is a question in the chat about if there's any plans to treat the creek flooding problem.
That would be outside of the commission and fall. Is that a clean water services area district?
It is Clean Water Services. They deal with the creeks itself, but it's inside the city limit. So there will be some collaboration between the two agencies to solve any issues. And this question needs to be directed to the stormwater engineer to be able to respond. That's not my specialty. I cannot respond to that question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I think that probably would include both sides of that, because I know that there's that other, I could not safely get down to that other bridge on the south end of it. When I tried to walk down there, that was muddy and looked like, yeah, so that might be a question on that too, because I see some things had piled up on the up creek side of that as well. So, okay, hope that answered, Mr. Hung, hope that answered your question, or Ms. Hung, hope that answered your question. Seeing no other comments or hands raised for that, then we'll close the public testimony portion. Are there any final staff comments, Mr. Khasho?
I don't have any.
All right, are there final questions or comments from the commission? All right, I do appreciate the HOA explaining that background, and also again, the offer for the ADA. I think that I see what's going on. I don't think I think it's pretty clear what's happened. I think it's just always, people like to know how everything's getting funded in these days and age. So with that in mind, then I would make a motion to approve as written TC 828. Let me do this right here. Pedestrian path on Southwest Village Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Moore, second. Is there final discussion? Seeing none, then we'll do a roll call. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Miranda,
Aye.
and Chair Conway, aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, everyone, for your time on that one. Next up, we'll begin TC 829. Crosswalk and pedestrian beacon on Southwest Davis Road at the Westside Trail. The chair's opening statement still applies to this. We begin with the staff report, Mr. Khasho.
The city has received several requests to install a marked crosswalk and improve pedestrian safety on Southwest Davis Road at the Westside Trail. Residents in the area and trail users, they cross Davis Road to reach the Mount Williams Park on the south side of the street or to continue their commute on the Westside Trail. The functional classification of Southwest Davis Road is a 2-lane collector street, 1 lane in each direction, and it has bike lanes. The posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. Currently, there are pedestrian crossing warning signs on Davis Road on both approaches of the trail crossing to warn drivers of pedestrian crossing the street. A traffic count was taken in August of 2018 and one in October of 2020. Those counts were taken on Davis Road just east of 160th Avenue. The 2018 count showed 6,200 vehicles per day that they use Davis Road, and the 2020 count showed 4,700 vehicles per day. The measured 85th percentile speed was at 28 miles per hour. The difference in the two counts, the 2020 is lower, it's because of the pandemic. So I believe maybe later this year, those numbers will climb up again, and it could be back to 6,000 plus. National research and guidelines published by the Federal Highway Administration does recommend installing a marked crosswalk carefully and selectively without any enhancement treatments such as median islands or beacons at uncontrolled locations. That's locations that's not controlled by a stop, yield, or a signal. On roadways that carries less than 9,000 vehicles per day with a 30 miles per hour speed or less. They also recommend the addition of warning beacons and median islands to enhance the crossing safety and reduce the risk of pedestrian crashes. So basically, if we can install just mark a crosswalk, but staff feels that it would be unsafe without the additional beacons for the crossing. And that's the recommendation of the Federal Highway Administration. The manual on uniform traffic control devices gave interim approval to allow for the use of the rectangular rapid flashing beacons as a warning beacon to supplement standard pedestrian crossing warning signs and markings, where the crosswalk approach is not controlled by a stop or a yield or a signal. Research on the rectangular rapid flashing beacons showed that the compliance rate is from 80% up to almost 100%. And also it showed that even 2 years after the beacons were installed, that compliance rate was sustainable. So staff is proposing to install a marked crosswalk and a rectangular rapid flashing beacon on Southwest Davis Road, east of 160th at the Westside Trail. And we're asking the Commission to approve this request. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions from the commission? I have one, Mr. Khasho, and that is the split of the 30,000. Is that like, I think we heard one time the cost of the equipment is only about 10,000, but the cost of the labor is like 20? Is that how that works? It costs more to do the labor than it does the actual material?
You're on mute, Jabra.
Yeah, it's that's true. That's true. It will cost more labor than the equipment. That's if you hire a contractor. But probably we will be doing this using city forces, and the cost could be less than 30 grand.
Excellent. Thank you. Love that answer. Any other questions, Commissioner Moore? Any other questions? All right, then with that.
No, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Ms. Miranda or Commissioner Miranda asked if you could throw your hand. I'm looking for that.
Okay,
hand
sorry.
sometimes, but that's cool. No worries. No worries. Also, I take a moment here to acknowledge that Commissioner Miranda, this is her first official meeting as a traffic commissioner for the city of Beaverton. I should have acknowledged that at the very beginning and said thank you for being selected and joining our ranks. She followed the happy, friendly boards and commissions process by the city and was interviewed and selected. So we appreciate all your time and welcome to our commission. So please, question.
Thank you. Yeah, so I had the question. The first question was in the report you wrote, several people approached the city. What does that mean? How many people? So
Yeah, we have many locations in the city that we get requests for marked crosswalks and beacons. We compiled the list, and the list has been on for some years. And every year, we have funding. We do 1 or 2 crossings. I don't have the exact number, but we compiled this list for some time. Yeah.
So why I'm asking is also because I went back there also, and I have run back there, and I never noticed that I needed a beacon, I must say. So the question came then, how many people said that, and then the second thing is, it's gonna be still at the same position as it is now, right? Because there are these things that stop the person from running straight across where the path actually ends in the street.
Yeah, the crosswalk basically will be at the same location to connect between the 2 ramps, and the beacons will be installed in the sidewalk at the edge of it.
And then people still have to wait there, and they have to push the button, and then they have to wait.
No, you push the button and the flashing beacon starts working
immediately.
Immediately, yeah. But
okay.
it will provide a safer crossing by having the beacon in. I'm always, the minute you start getting over 6,000, the gaps in traffic starts getting shorter. And that's why the feds, they say, oh, you could go up to 9,000 vehicles per day, but then you need to have some improvements. And even at 6,000, you have to be really selective, where you mark the crosswalk without any other treatments. There is also, the visibility of the pedestrian, the driver's side, can they see the pedestrian crossing, where the pedestrian stops too. And from our experience using these rectangular rapid flashing beacon, it is very effective. It catches your attention. Somebody is crossing the street. For those reasons, staff highly recommend having a beacon at that location if we're going to have a marked crosswalk. Because sometimes you have a marked crosswalk and pedestrian, the minute they see the crosswalk, they just dash in the street without looking too. Yeah, so we're very cautious where we mark crosswalks.
Okay. And then yeah. And there is on the east side of this, I think you can see it on the picture, is that white is that bump that slows everybody down already, or the one way, the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Traffic
yes,
calming.
Davis Road has traffic calming devices east of the trail. Actually, probably I could. Can I share my screen so I'll point to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on the picture. Well, I guess not everybody has the.
Yeah, yeah. Here's. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there is a speed hump right here.
Yeah.
At the edge of this drawing. Yeah, so this helps also to slow traffic before they get to the crosswalk. But the other side does not have any, and
Yeah.
it's a long stretch.
Yeah, it's straight. It's pretty straight. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for.
Thank you. Commissioner Urbanski?
I'm very familiar with this road and this particular crossing. What this two-dimensional map doesn't show, though,
For
is
the information.
show the hill. There are two main things. If you're coming from the east on Southwest Davis, you're coming up a hill, and so you don't actually see the crosswalk till you're almost at the top of the hill. So just seeing it in two dimensionals could be not painting the complete picture. Similarly, if you're coming up 160th, that is up a little hill, and then the road bends, or the turning kind of bends to the right where the stop sign is. So traffic coming up 160th up the hill and then wanting to turn onto Southwest Davis where the crosswalk is, if you're driving, you have to look to your right to make sure that there isn't traffic coming from the right. So by the time you've made it onto Southwest Davis, you've got very little time to look out for pedestrians who may be coming up the hill from the park and you don't see them to the last minute. So even though there's a crosswalk there, it's a terrible place for a crosswalk, but that's where it has to be because of the park. So my experience with those rapid flashing beacons is you definitely see those. Maybe it's premature for me to say this, but I'm definitely in favor of putting a crosswalk with those beacons there for safety of the pedestrians.
Thank you. All right, other questions? Commissioner or Mr. Khasho, I did have one logistical question. We have seen on several of the crossings, especially the there are two different cases. There are the overhead flashing, such as the one on Walker out at the power line trail. If you hit that, there's a delay before the beacon goes. People will run across before the lights actually flash. The other one, though, is that when it's instantaneous like this, I'm concerned that with the bike lanes on there, a bike lane understands is not a car and thinks, oh, I see this pedestrian, I'll just kind of roll along as they. So is there any, as you come down that hill off of from the east, or I guess in this case, it's actually the south, is are we going to put any kind of additional kind of curve to get them to go over there and actually push the light so that there's something that keeps them from just going across? Because now they think flashing beacon, marked crosswalk, when I come down that hill of the runner or even a cyclist or somebody with kids, they're going to want to go straight over there. They hit the button and they immediately step out into the road. Bikes should be aware, but I'm concerned about the trail users just thinking that they can hit the button and immediately go. So is there going to be any kind of gateway to just pause them for a split second so they actually cross in the crosswalk and not before that? Because when you look at that as you come down that east, or when you come from this downhill from the south, you can just kind of move along and churn and go straight across the road. You're not actually in that ADA ramp.
So you're telling me the trail users, and you're on the trail here, right?
Yes, coming down
They-
that
they
hill.
come down, but then you have to walk between the flat area here. That's where they have the barricade or the barrier, so you won't go straight.
Yeah, is there going to be something more than that kind of barrier that's there now? Because that doesn't really, I'm concerned, I guess, with a false sense of security by trail users, that with a marked crosswalk and they just hit the button and keep walking, they don't even have to stop. That they're just going to step out in front of someone is more that I'm totally for this, totally for it. But
Yeah, but you come down the hill, then you get to the sidewalk, you're gonna slow down regardless, because the
Well-
sidewalk, and you have to turn left, so it will slow them down. By the time you're here, you could see traffic too. I mean, you'll hit the button, and people typically watch, and the button actually has it gives a warning message. You know, traffic may not stop.
Okay, I'm concerned that the trail users will get a false sense. As we've noted over on Menlo a couple of times, a marked crosswalk gives folks a false sense of security. And while I'm totally 100% for this and support of it, I'm just concerned that people are going to think they can just immediately go if there's no kind of half step to make them just kind of pause that split second, because they're going to, a runner will now think, okay, I can go. That was my only question.
Yeah, you have to stop basically to push the button too, so it will pause you.
Okay, I'm hoping so. All right, thank you. Are there other questions? With that in mind then, Ms. Werner, we'll begin with public testimony portion.
Yes, we have Lucas Q.
Thank you, Lucas.
Hello, can you hear me just fine?
Yes, sir.
My name is Lucas Quarles. I live at 16,000 Southwest Davis. I am the property that basically bumps right up to where this crosswalk would be. So I'm probably the person that has the best knowledge of this area and this crossing. I mean, I'm definitely for it. I do have a couple of questions or concerns that would be great to have answered if possible. But to get to some of the commissioners' points, yes, the hill going up the hill. So on the east side, it is fairly blind until you crest the hill. At the speed bump is about where you would see the people, but most people on that road seem to be driving more than the 85th percentile that you guys stated. I was curious where those sensors were placed on Davis when they did that study in 2018 and 2020. If you had that information, that would be helpful, because if it was around the speed bumps, obviously it'd be slower. But once a driver gets past that speed bump, they try to see how fast they can get until they get to that intersection. Obviously that's anecdote, but so be it. You said, or someone said, that there would be a warning message? I'm assuming that would be an audible warning message. Do you know the decibels that message would be? Because obviously I live close to there. I'm just curious how loud it would be in case people are, you know, pushing the button in the middle of the night for the heck of it. That's one question. Another question or comment is, very rarely, if ever, have I seen a bicycle use the bike lanes on that road. I believe it's just a bit too busy for most people to feel comfortable. A lot of people use the path though, and a lot of bicyclists use the path. In general, they're pretty conscientious about waiting, but I also have little kids, so I would be concerned, like it was brought up, that they would just walk right out, but hopefully an adult could teach them such. And I guess my other question is, do you know what the impact to, say, my property would be? Maybe this is a bit of a selfish question, but I'm curious because I imagine there might be some easement that would have to be done there. So I would be curious as to what the impact would be to that property.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a look at those and run those down. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lucas.
It probably
Are
would
there-
have been.
are there
if I worded
questions,
it out loud.
Any questions of Mr. Lucas right now? All right, thank you, sir.
Would you mind spelling your last name for me?
Yes, Q-U-A-R-L-E-S.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Warner next.
Yes, Aaron Lopez Husky again.
Hi, yes, my name is Aaron Lopez Husky, and the address is 16115 Southwest Davis Road. I wanted to address a few points. The first being that, like was previously stated, the speed bumps don't really slow people down. As soon as the speed bumps are done, people tend to start going as fast as they can. The drivers on that road are particularly aggressive, especially the drivers coming up from 160th. Very frequently, they'll be halfway through the stop sign before they stop. So the point that was made about it being difficult for them to see pedestrians to their left is very well taken. I mean, I walk my dogs on that path twice a day, every day. And on 160th itself, I almost get hit every other day. If it were not for me stopping and waiting for people to run right through the stop sign, I have blinking headlights, the dogs have lights, I have reflective gear, and people still, run right through. So the concern about them not being able to see people who are trying to cross is very well taken. And then on the other, there is a beacon off of Hart and 160th. So if you go up the hill, cross the street once, and then cross that path, there is a beacon there that we go to sometimes, and that is significantly more effective. People sometimes, or drivers, if they're going too fast, might still go past it, but the people behind them tend to stop with much more frequent consideration of pedestrians who press the button. So I'm definitely for a light there to kind of slow drivers down. I don't know why, but on that road, on Davis Road, drivers seem to be particularly aggressive.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that'll be a separate issue and is not part of the discussion this evening. So
On Davis
definitely
Road,
thank you, though.
what I mean.
Right, totally. Yep. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Yes. Gotcha.
The Hart Road, it was just an example of a beacon that does
Right.
work. So I'm in favor of one on Davis Road.
Right, perfect. All right. Questions from commission? Aaron, thank you. Appreciate your time. Ms. Warner, next. All right, that is, all right. With no other ones, then we will close the public testimony portion. I will say that I've ridden along Davis in the bike lanes there. I don't find, I think the Powerline Trail as a whole is an excellent idea, but it's not conducive to commuting. So I do appreciate how many families use that on weekends and weekdays, especially in the summer. It's great to see it. I'm so glad when that section got finished south of Davis. That was just such a great win by THPRD. But I've used those bike lanes before. I don't know about the traffic on those, but they're full bike lanes. They're usually clear except for the uphill by the school, which always has the stuff from the trees, branches and pine cones in there. But otherwise, it's a pretty good trail on that. Mr. Khasho, there were a couple of questions though.
Yeah. There was a question about where that traffic count and speed study was done on Davis.
Mhm.
It was done 465 feet east of 160th Avenue. So it's even past the speed hump. The other question was about if the city will acquire an easement to install those beacons. We will not acquire anything. We will not touch the private property. Everything will be in the public right of way.
Excellent. There was one other question about the decibel level.
The decibel level, we recently installed one on Hall Boulevard by Sabin, and that beacon, it's the same setup like Davis Road here. They're not too loud, and we haven't had any complaints on any of the beacons we have installed so far. I don't know the exact decibels for it, but that needs to be, we need to find the specs for the equipment to be able to supply if the person is interested in the decibels.
All right, thank you. Are there other questions from commission? All righty then, with that, we will close the public hearing portion and have commissioner deliberations. I will say again that I've just seen a couple of cases, not every intersection, but there are definitely some intersections where it's really easy for people to beat the light or they push the button and just go. They don't wait for the cycle to finish. And so my only concern again is that actually trail users getting excited to coming down that hill. But other than that, I'm totally for this and completely support it. So appreciate all the work too, Mr. Khasho, everybody putting together the information and the study and plan on that, and also going above the recommendation for the bleaking. Other comments? That in mind, then I would let me go over here. I would make a motion to approve as written the TC 829 crosswalk and pedestrian beacon on Southwest Davis Road at Westside Trail. Is there a second? Commissioner Urbanski? I think I do. Can you just give us a verbal aye?
Second.
Second,
Aye.
thank you. We don't want to get anybody in trouble here. I know Ms. Werner does a great job and I don't want to have to go through what happened where. So thank you with that. Roll call then, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Urbanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Miranda,
Aye.
Chair Conway is aye. Motion passes unanimous 4-0. Thank you for that. Appreciate that part. All right, and also for all those that have attended, thank you for taking part in the process. It is definitely much easier, but it is still greatly appreciated when you can come to the meetings. I know that we had people that it was difficult for them to come to the council chambers where we had our meetings in person, but it was always welcome and greatly appreciated that people are taking part in the process. So you're making our community even better. So thank you very much. Appreciate everyone's time and help on that. Next up, old business. I don't see any. Mr. Khasho, was there any at all?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, excellent. Then the last thing that we have is new business, and that's the election of the traffic commission officers for 2022. We have a chair and a vice chair. Vice Chair McLean is currently out right now, but I didn't hear he was opposed to doing anything again or taking other part. And I would be happy to continue or yield to someone else. With that, then I think we have discussions or nominations. Mr. Khasho, you want to wait?
I'm going to suggest to wait till the beginning of the next meeting, so
Okay.
everyone will be available and take action then. And then if there are changes, then you'll do the swap at the beginning of the meeting.
Very good. All right. Total agreement on that. I wondered about that earlier too, when we only had the 4. So appreciate you putting that together. All right. Is there any new business from commissioners? Commissioner Urbanski?
I've got a question for Mr. Khasho. I've noticed that many new cars now have a digital instrument display where the speed limit is shown, like a little mini speed sign. And I had an opportunity to drive in one of these cars, and it was fairly accurate. You know, when the speed limit changed from 35 to 30, it changed on the display. My question is, in the past 6 months or so, we changed some speed limits, like on Hall and on Denny. Is it our responsibility to tell Google Maps or BMW and Volvo, all of these car makers, that the speed limit has changed? Or will people be driving along thinking it's still 30 miles per hour? In fact, it's 20 because they're only looking at, they're not looking at the actual signpost, but the signpost that's digitally displayed in front of them.
Yeah, most of the new cars, they actually, the car read the sign. If you have a car with that shows the speed limit in it,
Yeah.
it only recognizes the speed limit sign that says speed limit. And in Oregon, it's the only state, and just recently they changed the law. The signs outside, actually in all Oregon, the speed limit signs used to say just speed and 20 miles or 35 or whatever. They didn't have the word limit in it. And then the state changed the law that in urban areas, you have to have speed limit 20, speed limit 30, and so forth. And lately, now it's all over the state. We followed the other 49 states basically to have speed limit signs. I own a car that recognizes the signs.
Okay.
And when the car sees the speed 20 sign, it doesn't show up. It doesn't know what it is. Because those cars kind of, they try to make them follow what's in the manual and uniform traffic control devices, what that official sign says. It doesn't recognize the difference. So if you change the signs, the car will just, the camera in the car will pick up the sign and recognize it as a speed limit sign.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Okay. Yeah.
May
Thank
I
you.
address
Commissioner Moore?
Yes, may I address that as well for Commissioner Urbanski? I was recently in a car accident, so I had a rental, and the newer rental vehicle, I was shocked. It has the correct speed limit. We just changed the speed limit. How does it know? And so at least Mr. Khasho has explained it to me, because I knew we just changed it, and I was wondering how it had that update so quickly, because it does in fact show that.
Oh, it does. Okay, good, good. All right.
Excellent. Thank you. Other questions or comments on that? All right, Mr. Khasho, I have one. I might send you a picture. There is a bike, not a bike. There is a easement, a paved path between Sorrento and the other road that I was on, just off of Brockman. And it has two signs on each end that say bicycles prohibited. I'm wondering why in all of Beaverton, this one access that I've seen, because I started to take Mayor Beatty's, I don't know if it was a challenge or comment, but I've been riding in and out of every single cul-de-sac in the city, taking notes and comments and looking for where there are paths and walkways and sidewalks not there, and how people park and how much parking there is. And I'm finding it extremely enlightening, but there's a bicycle prohibited on this one section. Do you know where that is?
No, I have to check on this.
All right.
It's on Brockman and Greenway, right? Where Brockman turns into Greenway, where Sorrento comes, or kind of Sorrento comes out there and Brockman, and then it turns into Greenway, doesn't it?
It's above that though. It goes back up.
It's
between Sorrento and Davis.
Oh, it's up.
It's
further.
up. It goes because it goes from Sorrento down this little hill between four houses. It's completely paved. It has fences on both sides, but on each end, it looks like somebody. It didn't look like an official city sign that said bicycles, but it just says it's pretty old. But I just noticed it and I thought interesting in there that you can't. Not sure who put that up or why that's there, but I'll send you a picture of where it was.
We'll check it out to see.
All right.
What happened there.
I'm just very curious why we would not want someone to take their bike off the road that doesn't have a bike lane on it. So, all right, thank you. Any other comments then? Mr. Khasho, are we meeting in February?
Yes, we have a couple of issues to bring in February. I know what they are. One is the traffic calming plan for 155th terrace between it's just north of Schultz Ferry.
Okay,
And the other one is a truck parking issue again on Bethany Court. This issue was before the commission in the past, but it's coming up again, and we're going to explore some options to alleviate the impact of trucks on those businesses and the daycare on Bethany Court.
The traffic calming is 155th Terrace between Snowy Owl and Shoals Ferry.
perfect. All right, thank you. All right, with that in mind, then we will see everybody in February, and our meeting is adjourned there. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And again, welcome, Commissioner Miranda. We appreciate you being part of this and joining our wonderful team. And as always, Commissioner Urbanski, Commissioner Moore, thank you so much. Sergeant Shaw, hope you feel better. Sgt Mastripolito, thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
You guys have a great time, and thank you, Ms. Warner. All right,
Good, everyone.
see everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.